Hello everyone, welcome to Lit Studio. I'm Karishma. So today we are going to talk about Gerard Genett. Alright? So what Gerard Genett is famous for is that he is a very famous structuralist. Alright? If you have watched the video on AJ Grimes that I have put forward before this video, you would know that he is also a very famous narrative thinker and a very famous narratologist. All right. So his important books are Narrative Discourse. Narrative Discourse is actually a section in his work called Figures. It is a multi-part work. So Figures is a series. All right. In which Narrative Discourse is a section. All right. In this work, he explores various aspects of narrative and rhetoric. All right. And then his second work is Structuralism and Literary Criticism. His third work is Palimpsests, Literature in the Second Degree. In this work, Genett actually investigates the phenomena of one text being embedded with another, exploring the concept of palimpsest and its implication of our understanding of literary history and intertextuality. If you have not understand this concept, it is actually quite easy. In this work, what he does is he tries to understand or he tries to investigate how a text is actually present in any other text. For example, if you have read any of the texts of any of the writer, you can see how he is influenced by how he is influenced by some writer. All right. So if you've read one particular work, you can find illusions of another work in that work. All right. That is called embedment. So Genett actually investigates the idea of a text being embedded into another text. So to this idea, he named the term palimpsest. All right. Through this idea of palimpsest, we can understand the concept of literary history and also the concept of intertextuality. All right. So his idea of transtextuality is very famous, and you have to learn it for the benefit of the concepts given by him. And also there are multiple concepts given by Gerard Genett within the idea of transtextuality. All right. There are 5 elements to transtextuality. They are intertextuality, paratextuality, metatextuality, hypertextuality, and architextuality. All right. Now let's look at intertextuality. It's simple. Okay. Intertextuality is using quotations, allusions from a text in another text. If you read a text in which a quote from Shakespeare is present, which was not written by Shakespeare, it is called intertextuality. All right. Because they are using the quotations or allusions from the text written by Shakespeare, and that concept is called intertextuality. All right. And then there is paratextuality. Paratextuality is actually, it marks the element at the entrance of the text which helps to direct and control the reception of the text by the readers. To simply put it, for example, if you read the foreword or the preface of any text, what it does is that it gives the reader an idea of on what to expect from the book and how to perceive the book or how to perceive the ideas given by the writer in the particular book, right? So that is called paratextuality. It gives the reader a direction to go with the book. All right. Paratextuality has 2 elements in it. One is peritext and one is epitext. All right. So peritext is the contents within the text, like the titles, chapter, preface, captions, notes, etc. All right. These things actually give the reader a direction on how to perceive the text. All right. And these are present within the text. All right. Those are called peritext. And then there is epitext, the elements outside the text in question. All right. Like the interviews, reviews, critical analysis, or private letters, which would also gives the reader a direction on how to perceive the work in question, but these are not present in the text itself, right? So that is the concept of peritext and epitext in the concept of paratextuality. Alright, then there is metatextuality. Actually, it is a form of intertextual discourse in which one text makes critical commentary on other text. For example, there is a work written by a particular author, and then another critic or another author reads the work and critically comments on it. Alright, that it is like a conversation happening between the author and the critic, or the author and an author, in the form of text. All right, it is called metatextuality. It is an intertextual discourse. All right, it includes critical commentary of any work. All right, so that is called metatextuality. And then there is hypertextuality. Hypertextuality represents the relationship between two texts or a text and a genre in which it is based, or which it transforms, modifies, or extends. For example, it simply put, for example, a text and a genre and its relationship is studied within hypertextuality. Or else it can also mean a text is present and it is being modified or it is being transformed. Examples of this would include sequel, parody, spoofs, and translations of a text. If you take translations, a text is being transformed into another language. It is being translated into another language for the particular people of that language to enjoy the text. All right. Or else, for example, if it is being extended, it would be called a sequel. If it is being modified, it would be called a parody or a spoof, right? So that is the concept of hypertextuality. It actually studies or represents the relationship between a text and to another text, or a text to its genre. All right, and then there is architextuality. Architextuality relates to the designation of a text as a part of the genre. Architextuality is when you find characteristics of a text in a particular work. It simply put, it is how a text is related, a text is a part of the genre it belongs to. For example, if you want to understand a text and you don't know anything about the text or any of the information on which genre it belongs to, or who is the writer that wrote it, so that you can understand and analyze the writer and understand his writing style, and come to a conclusion on the genre it belongs, but you have no other information on that, you have absolutely nothing on the text but the text itself. You take the characters present in the text and you come to a conclusion on what genre it belongs to. So every character present in the text made you come to the conclusion, right? So that is the concept of architectuality. You find the characteristics of a genre in a particular text. All right, so these are the concepts given by Gerard Zernett. The concept of transtextuality, in which intertextuality, paratextuality, metatextuality, hypertextuality, and architectuality are present. All right, so that is it. I hope you understand the concepts given by him, and yeah, also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you.